In this video, we'll cover Maven repositories and how to connect to additional repositories. So we've already seen the setup, right? So we learned about the Maven local repository. We also learned about the Maven central repository that's online. Now we'll talk about how to connect to other repositories. And if you remember how that mavenrepository.com, it said that it can index additional repositories, and it gave us a list. So at the top was a central repository, and then they had a list of additional repos here, a total of 250 to be exact. And those are out there. And so then the question is, well, how can we hook into those additional repositories and kind of what's out there? All right, so before we get into how to connect to these additional repos, you may wonder, well, why are there additional repos in the first place? Shouldn't there only be one? Well, some development teams, they may self-host their Maven projects as jar files because they may have alpha, beta releases that's not ready for the real world, and they simply want to test it with a small group of individuals. They want to have more control over their deployments as far as their jar files, or they may have other reasons, maybe licensing reasons, security reasons, privacy reasons, and so on. And we'll talk more about privacy in some following videos. So then accessing these additional repositories. So we know that out of the box, Maven by default is going to connect to the central repository. But then the question is, how can we hook to some of these other repos here, like the Spring repo or the Atlassian repo or this XWiki repo? How can we hook to those other repos that are out there that are being indexed? So let's kind of walk through this with an example. So we're going to configure additional repositories. So in the first step, we're going to add the Atlassian mail dependency to our project. Now this is only available in the Atlassian repository. So this dependency that I'm adding, I simply just chose one that could kind of fit this given use case. So this is not the happy path, right? The happy path is everything being in the Maven central repository. But instead, I found a dependency or a project that's only available in a specific repository. So I just chose this Atlassian mail dependency. We could have chosen any other dependency as long as it's in like a different repo other than the Maven Central. All right, so that's kind of the step one. We're going to choose this Atlassian mail dependency. And then in step two, we actually have to add the Atlassian repository to our pom.xml file just so that Maven knows where to go and find this dependency because it's only available in the Atlassian repository. Alrighty, so it's step one of adding the dependency. So we simply add this dependency in our pom.xml file. So we simply give a reference, we give the group ID, the artifact ID, and the version. And remember, this item here is only available in the Atlassian repo. It's not in the main central Maven repo. So at step two, we actually need to add the repository or a reference to it. So in our pom.xml file, we'll have this new section called repositories, and then I'll give a new entry here for a repository. So here I have the ID, the name. The most important item here is the URL. That's the actual location of the Atlassian repository that Maven can connect to. And so remember, by default, Maven will still check the Maven central repo, and then it'll go and check the ones that are listed here on this screen. So if you have multiple repos listed here, then they're processed in the top-down order. So Maven will simply go through, check each one of the repos. The first place that it finds it that matches the coordinates, then that's the one that it'll actually use. Alrighty, so this is all great stuff. So in the next video, we'll actually run through a demo and we'll see all of this in action. So I'll see ya in the next video.